What is up, everyone? Welcome to the NoLife Gaming Podcast. Missed you guys last week, but we are back this week. We got an interesting show for you. DOOBIE finally finished Octopath Traveler. I think he finished it. If not, he got pretty far into it. And we got some gaming news for you. And then tomorrow we have a jam-packed tech show for you. Make sure you follow us over on our Twitter and our Instagram at NoLife Digital, as well as over on our website, nolife.digital. We're going to be having a little forum we're going to put up too, just to have one up there. But hit up the website, bookmark it. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. My new podcast that I'm going to be starting is all done. It's all edited. The first episode, it should be up this week, and you'll see that as well. So if you're interested in stuff like that, make sure you check it out. Also on our Instagram, NoLife Digital Instagram, make sure you are checking out our IGTV. I'm going to start putting up clips and videos, and that other podcast is going to go up there on IGTV, using it a lot more now. I like IGTV. I might be one of the only people who do, but I do want to take advantage of it while it's still sort of new and fresh. All right, without further ado, let's bring on the co-hosts. What's up, dudes?
Yo. What up?
How was your weekends? Chilling?
Weekend.
It was my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you?
28. 2 more years till 30.
So you're 2018?
Yeah. I mean, I was born in 1990, so yeah.
Yeah, I turn 28 next month, or in September.
Man, am I older? Man.
Yeah, you're older than me.
I
Just
feel
by a
like
little
I'm
bit.
older than you.
I'm the youngest, so.
Stay young,
I mean,
dude.
Wayne, you got all that life experience on you.
I do. I have a nice patina. I got a nice patina going.
Self-made man.
I tell you what, I'm starting to feel my
Don't mention
age.
taxes.
Dude, I feel like my coworkers call me grandpa. That's how bad it is.
I'm the same way, man.
I'm an old man trapped in a young person's body.
I'm afraid when I hit 30, I'm just gonna die. I'm just gonna be too old.
I'm already making a bucket list for 30. A trip to Japan is on there.
I got 1 more year.
1 more year till what?
Got 1 more year in me.
Until you die?
Got 1 more good year.
I got the same birthday as Kurt Cobain, so I only got till I'm 27.
Oh, that's all good.
Just don't fuck Courtney Love. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh no, dude! Growing up, I totally had like nightmares of her like busting into my bathroom with a shotgun.
No, you stay young as long as you can, dude. I don't know. I feel like it was really last year and this year where I started to feel my age a little bit more, especially like after like I would go out, like maybe drink or something, and then the next 2 days I would just be bedridden. I just couldn't do it anymore.
I reached that age like 3 years ago where people were like, let's go to the bar. And I'm like, no, why don't we stay at home and drink where it's a ton cheaper?
I'm just like, I'm tired.
I'm an old man.
I'm always tired all the time.
Just in bed by 10.
Yeah. But it is a cheaper lifestyle and you feel older. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Man,
if you enjoy your work, I've become a full nerd because I enjoy coding.
Dude,
half of the time it's like I'll start drinking and just be like, I want to code something stupid. Why am I drinking?
Dude, 100%. I know exactly what you mean.
Or I want to do something work related I enjoy.
I want to do something productive with
Yeah,
my life.
We're just like old people. We have no life.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this, man. It's more fun. I don't know. I just feel like all that kind of stuff, you kind of grow out of it, and it doesn't become fun anymore. Especially once you have like a fiance, you're getting ready to get married, so you're not like out chasing girls or anything.
But no, that's when you really start drinking.
Yeah, that's true. At least some.
No, I've always been a homebody.
That's when you invest into your little whiskey bar. Just have like a nice little sidebar next to the bed.
Side cart.
Yeah.
I
just gotta go full Don Draper.
I'm a 1 bottle at a time, man. I can't afford a bar right now.
All right, well, let's get into some of this news here. I want to know about your experience with Octopath Traveler, because I saw the donkey video, Have you seen it yet?
I saw the donkey video, and to be fair, if you're
Let me
watching
say something real quick. Let me say something.
yeah,
When I saw that donkey video, it confirmed all of my suspicions about the game. You know what I mean?
to be fair though, he's a man who he doesn't shy away from the fact that he doesn't really like JRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
That's like me
nerd.
reviewing like a battle royale game. I don't like battle royale games, so I'm not going to focus on any positives. He does have some fair points. It's very safe. The writing is very true to like there's no super crazy twists. There's no really genre bending or genre pushing things. It just does what it does very well. But to somebody who doesn't like JRPGs, that's a negative. So when you look at Donkey's review or Donkey's like criticism of the game, understand where it's coming from. It's coming from somebody who doesn't like JRPGs. Take what I say with a grain of salt because I love JRPGs.
Yeah.
So it's all about, it's not just, what one person says, but you have to understand where they're coming from. So with that said,
it feels like
love this game.
It feels like the JRPG genre is very polarized. Like you either love them or you hate them.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of them when they come out, like get really high Metacritic scores. Like Persona 5 was one of the rarities that got a really high score. But like generally they usually sit in the low 80s if they're really good.
Would you consider Persona 5 like a true JRPG?
See, that's the thing though, with like the term JRPG kind of has become what's the word I'm looking for? Like where it just becomes very vague.
Yeah.
Because it used to be JRPG meant like turn-based, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 6,
like this.
Dragon Warrior, like this. Like this is more true to a JRPG than Persona 5 is, where that's a combination of the JRPG dating sim kind of thing, like life sim. But in the vague terms, it's a JRPG. Whereas, like, could you consider Final Fantasy 15 a JRPG, even though it's not a turn-based battle system? It's more of an action RPG. Right. But then you get into like the story elements because its story is kind of JRPG-esque more than something else. But Kingdom Hearts, you consider that a JRPG? Its genres kind of become vague in terms.
Yeah. When I think of JRPG, I think of like this style of game.
I think of turn-based combat. I think of, sprite work for certain.
Terrible voiceovers.
I like the voice acting in Octopath. I think the VAs did a great job.
All right, well, let's get into. All right, let's get into.
So far, review. I've put in 56 hours. I've finished 1 chapter 4. Each character has 4 chapters. So I have 7 left, and then the true final boss, which kind of got spoiled for me, sort of. I didn't see much. I just know that there is a true final boss.
Well, okay.
A true final dungeon.
For those of us who don't know, what's the point of the game? Like, what is the story?
So it's very true to the storybook, and by that I mean like the whole idea is like here are 8 characters. They don't really, and this is one of the things I was worried about. They don't really interact. There are some cool little scenes depending on who's in your party where you can kind of hear like some banter between the characters, but they're never really actually recognized in the chapter themselves during the actual thing. So it's kind of like short stories. So there's 4 chapters. So it's almost like 8 different novellas set in the same world.
Okay.
But you start to see some things where they start to overlap a little bit.
Okay, but like, is it sci-fi? Is it fantasy? Like, what is this actual
fantasy?
plot?
It's completely fantasy. But so each one's different. So the thief has his own plot line where he's chasing down these stones because he got caught thieving. But he has like his like character growth where it turned like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it turns out like he kind of like comes across some his past catches up to him. And this is kind of where Donkey is right, where it's very safe in its storytelling. It doesn't push anything. The thief has his past catches up to him. That's a trope. There's a lot of tropes. The cleric has a mission she needs to go for the church. And there's a lot of tropes with some of the churches They're like kind of like some of the church members are like what do you call them? Like they're corrupted. That's a trope. The fighter Ulbrich, he's tracking down like the people that killed his king. Just another trope. There's nothing mind bending. There's nothing like genre pushing. It just does what it does very well. It's well written, even though it doesn't challenge the genre, if that makes any sense. But there's 8 different stories. There's the thief. There's Alphen, who is the apothecary, who's like his whole story is like self-discovery, where he fits in the world as a healer. He's got like moral dilemma. That's his whole shtick. There's the cleric, who she's Ophelia. She goes on a journey to do like the ceremony for the church.
Now, do you have to play one after the other, or do you play them whenever you want?
It's pretty free. So how it works is you pick your starting character, and you're locked in with them until the end of their chapter. I thought it was full game locked, but as soon as you finish their chapter 4 and you see the end credits, you can freely remove them from your party. But until you finish their 4th chapter, they're stuck in your party as the lead. So you pretty much can choose between 3 party members and the person you chose to start with. So I started with the thief. I just finished his 4th chapter. So now if I want to remove him from my party, I can easily remove him. I can have any party I want. You go around initially with the chapters. Chapter 1, you grab everybody. So you start with one character, and the game does scale based on who you have and where you start. So if you pick chapter 1 for one character and you fight their boss, it would be different if you had 4 characters and you fought their boss. It would be a little harder because it knows you have 4 characters. So it is forgiving at first. And then, so the world map is kind of like, you start in kind of like the center, and like all around the center, there's like a big circle. You just pick up all the characters. And then their chapters kind of like expand throughout the map. So the chapter 4 is in the very out edges of the world. And what that does is each area has like a danger level, which is more of a suggestion, because there are places that say danger level 55 and I was level 40 going in there, but I knew the mechanics of the game. And that's another thing. People complain about the grinding. Are the people who aren't really used to JRPGs or aren't used to understanding how mechanics work? Because once you have a really good grasp of the battle mechanics and the things you can do and how to produce and like all the different combinations, because that's like one of the things is there are a lot of different party like different specs you can do. You can run this certain party that does this really well, where they're debuffing. So like my party is, I like to use Therian, who's the thief, Ulbrich the fighter, who's my damage dealer and tank, Cyrus, who is the scholar, who's essentially, he can just cast a lot of magic, and the 4th person is, I like to run Alphen, who is the apothecary, but I give them all second jobs. So my thief is also an apothecary. My warrior is now, I got the special job because there's additional jobs you can get, like 4 hidden ones that are hidden behind really hard bosses that have like, your typical boss has like maybe like in chapter 4 has like 100,000 health. These bosses have like 200,000 health and they hit like a truck. They just destroy your party. But I was able to take 3 of them down. So I have 3 like high powered jobs, and I'm doing like 25,000 damage per hit for like my warrior. Because I understand the mechanics of the game. And I was doing that like in chapter 2. So I'm one-shotting bosses because I understand what I'm doing. But the thief, he's really good at debuffs. So like I'm shackling the opponent's physical attack and physical defense. And you couple that with the warrior who's buffing his attack. And he also has a skill that allows him to get over the 9999 cap. So typical JRPGs where like 9,999 is the max damage you can do. He has a skill that allows him to do over that. He can go up to 99,999. And you can hit that number. I will tell you that now. You can hit that number if you know what you're doing. You can go pretty crazy with the damage. So like it's just one of these cool things of the game's battle, like the whole battle system, and just how many characters you have. You can really spec the party the way you want to play.
So the main point of the game is just combat then. Like that's the draw
Combat is
of it.
Yeah, the draw is the combat. The combat it's phenomenal. I really like the battle system. But to be fair, if you're not a big JRPG fan or if you don't really like mechanics based stuff like that, like people who like Bravely Default would love this battle system because it's very similar. But yeah, so I mean, for me, the battle system is one of the best I've played in a long time. Probably it's up there with like the Shin Megami Tensei franchise for my favorite battle systems. Because I really like the SMT Persona battle, like their whole battle mechanics, especially Persona 5, where battle really made that game great and grinding never felt terrible. In this game, really, the grinding, I've only had to grind maybe 2 parts, and one of them was because I was trying to take on like optional bosses that were really hard. But other than that, like the grinding's not that bad. But yeah, so like the danger threat levels, they kind of block you away from things. And every time you enter a town, and some towns have multiples, you can fast travel to them. And you talk to the bartender to start a quote unquote hear a tale. This is where I kind of have this storybook feeling. And each chapter starts with the story so far. So it really does feel like 8 separate short stories, which is something that a lot of games have tried doing. Usually it's this grand arching story. This one was very much focused on each one, but there is a true final dungeon and true final boss where I guess kind of like everyone's story overlaps into that. And there's little hints here and there, and I've already kind of seen the beginning of it where I finished Therion's story, and they mentioned something that I'm pretty certain has to relate to this true final boss.
So you haven't beaten it?
Not yet, but I probably will this week because the game is really, really good.
So, okay. I find that super interesting that they chose to do 8 separate stories.
That's where it's the risk taking is.
Yeah.
Like I said, where there's not a real lot of genre bendings, like genre pushing stuff, where it's really playing safe. The only thing they really did risk wise was in that idea of 8 short stories and not one giant overarching story where 8 characters get together like a Final Fantasy.
But you think at the end it does sort of overlap and it does sort of where it does kind of come together, right?
Yeah, because I know that there is a quote-unquote true final boss and a true final dungeon where the 8 characters do pretty much come together to do one last thing. But it's not like a giant, like, what I was hoping was going to be was here's the 4 chapters for each one, and then here's, like, that was half of the game, and then the other half was the 8 of them coming together to do this one thing.
Right.
And instead, it's more like 90% or 95% of the game is the 4 short stories of each person. And the last 5% is like, hey, here's a final boss and final dungeon.
Right.
Which is interesting. I mean, that's a risk. That's a thing that I haven't seen a lot of games do. There's been a few. I think Dragon Warrior 7 kind of did that on the PlayStation 1. But it's not generally a thing that a lot of JRPGs do.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it pays off. I wonder if that risk, if it would have just been better to tell a story.
I will say this.
Story.
I will say this. The game is. We'll get into it in news because it's the first news topic I put in there. It's very popular right now in Japan especially.
Yeah, and I don't understand the first story because of the modern day that we live in, but
hey, these like the Japanese people who are doing it, they're like me.
I guess, but if you want to play the fucking game,
yeah, Square even said buy it digitally. We're sorry.
Yeah, like what is Square supposed to do? Fucking go bankrupt?
Square Enix is, and this is Square Enix's B team. This isn't like their A team. This is their B team that made this game. I think last I checked, I haven't looked at the Metacritic now. I looked at it when it came out. It was like an 84, which is really good for a JRPG. I was telling you, like, JRPGs don't usually score very well on the Metacritic because it's a very polarizing genre.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there like a lot of customization in terms of characters? Like, can you get armor
Yeah,
sets and weapons and
you
shit?
can spec really well. There's a ton of weapons in the game, and each job has their set weapons. So, like the scholar, he can only use staves.
Right.
The hunter uses like swords and bows.
And do enemies drop them?
Enemies don't drop weapons, but you can, because there's path actions, every character has their own kind of thing they can do in town. So the thief can steal from people, and it gives you like a percentage of what the chances are you can steal from them. And then every character has a foil. So the thief also has the merchant. The merchant, who's Tressa, she can purchase. So she doesn't run the risk of ruining her reputation. So those items that you can steal, you can also just buy from the people. And her thing is she can give you a discount on them. So let's say that an item has a 3% chance to steal. You would bring in the merchant to just buy it at that point instead of, trying a 3% chance.
Right.
So you'll just, and money is pretty, like I've gotten money pretty easily in the game. It's not that hard to get.
All right, here's my final question, because I want to play this game just because I do want to play another RPG on the Switch. Like, the Switch is so great for RPGs.
You really enjoy playing games on the go.
Yeah.
And you like doing kind of where like, and I will say this, each chapter is kind of like 1 to 2 hours long. And it's, if you really wanted to play like that, where you just pick it up for like an hour or two, it's really good for that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then you can spend maybe an hour or two grinding when you're doing stuff and you don't really have a lot of time.
Right.
The story. And that's where I think it shines really well, is those short play styles. If you just want to pick up and play a chapter, just play one chapter, you can do that. Then you can pick it up later and play another chapter.
Now, my question is, do you think there's enough story there to invest me into these players to make me want to keep playing? You know what I mean?
The writing...
Like, I don't even really care too much about the writing so much. I just need some sort of motivation to grind. You know what I mean? Whether it's like, I don't want to just grind just to get to the next higher level guy. I want to be able to say, okay, I want to know why this guy's doing this, or I want to know what's going on here. So in order to do that, I have to grind so I can beat that next level guy so I can finish the story. Like, does the progression move like that?
There's enough chapters with enough characters that I really do like. I do like the side characters. Specifically, a couple of the stories have really good side characters where you'll want to keep playing that like that story.
Okay.
And the combat, I really enjoy the combat, especially if you like being able to customize your characters, because when you find the secondary jobs, you can give them to anyone. So you can run a warrior that is also a cleric, so they can heal while also being a tank.
Right.
So you can make them super defensive, or you can make them a warrior with another offensive-based job.
But you see what I'm saying, right? Like with Persona 5, like that was my first real, the first real JRPG that I actually played, like wanted to play, and it was because the story was like, it was kind of cheesy, it was kind of off color, it was a little weird, but it was enough story to make me want to grind to finish the story because I was so interested in these stupid characters in that game.
And the nice thing with it is because there's only 4 chapters, there's 8 characters. If there's a story that you're not really feeling, there's 7 more stories.
Yeah.
There's 7 more characters with their own stories.
Are any of them edgelord Japanese kids? Like teenagers? Edgelord teenagers? Preferably
I would say the thief is the closest to the edgelord teenager.
It's set in a story.
Which makes sense. That's the trope of the thief.
They need to have one, right?
Yeah, he's the guy who, I can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
But I want to trust people, but I can't trust people because I've been betrayed.
Just trying to
And then he
relate.
learns how to trust people in the end.
From Wayne here.
I will say, but there are some characters that are just really pure, and it's really funny. Like the merchant, there's one scene where if you have her in the party when you're doing the dancer, who has the darkest story of them all, her story's just like super dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how this game, like they mention whorehouses and stuff like that, and I'm like, this game got a rated T? There's whorehouses?
All right, so
Okay.
what is your rating? What's your final? I know
My
you
final
haven't completely
verdict?
beaten it, but it seems like you like it, and it seems like you got far enough to.
I would put it at like an 8 to an 8.5. It's very good at what it does. I really enjoy it.
What would make it a perfect score?
What would make it a perfect
What
score?
do they need to do? The DLC's coming. What does the DLC need to do to create this, to make this on the level of like Legend of Zelda?
Funny story is there is no DLC.
Oh yeah.
And they specifically said that coming out. This is a complete game. We are not doing DLC for it.
We'll see about that.
I would have liked for there to be a more even split in terms of separate story and then full story.
Yeah, I
I
see
like
that.
the idea of 4 chapters short story, but I would like to have seen there be a way for it to all meld into funnel into almost like Final Fantasy VI. And by that I mean the beginning of that game, you follow essentially 3 different sets of characters, and then there's a point where they all join together, and then the main game kind of starts. So I would have liked it to have been more of like,
You wanted all to link up and actually have them all together.
Chapters, maybe be 2 or 3 chapters that
Right, and then the 4th chapter is them all together.
and then the 4th chapter, and then maybe like 5th and 6th chapter, but like of them all together, chapter 5, chapter 6.
And that's what I was saying before. It's like, I don't know why they didn't do that. You would expect them to do that, right?
I would expect them to do it, but that's the risk they took, and that's the direction they went with. And that's kind of why I give it an 8 and 8.5 instead of that 10.
You feel like it didn't really pay off at the end, right? You would rather them tie something together.
It pays off, but it pays off in a different way than I would have liked it to have paid off.
Yeah.
Like there's still closure in their story arcs, but instead of being just like, I would have liked to have seen their character arc, and then once they've accomplished their personal goals, come together for a more overarching story that heads for chapter 5 and 6, like 2 extra chapters, instead of just final boss, final dungeon that feels like prologue.
All right.
Or epilogue, whatever, you know what I mean.
So last thing,
Like
we'll move on.
post game.
Someone like myself, I love Persona 5, but I'm not 100% sold on JRPGs. Do you recommend me pick this one up?
I would say,
Because Persona 5 to me is like a 9 out of 10.
I would say ask yourself 3 questions.
All right, let me go. Let me see.
Are you okay with short stories based on characters where there is no real overlap until the end?
I think
If
so.
you're okay with that, then this might be a game for you. Do you like really good customizable battle system that's fun?
Yes.
Then I think you would like this. And 3, do you like that art style? This game is huge on art style. If you don't like that sprite work, that like 1632-bit graphic style sprite work, then this might not be the game for you, because you're going to be looking at that a lot.
And I really don't know if I do or not. Like, I don't know if I'm sold on it or not. I used to.
What you might want to do is give it a couple months, wait for it to come on sale, $30, $40, pick it up then.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know.
It might be best for you.
I do want to play like, a pretty epic art. Like, I've been craving another one since Zelda, and I can't keep playing Zelda. I'm getting sick of it.
No, you just keep playing Mario Tennis Aces.
I know. I'll probably end up just playing. I gotta stop, dude. My hands are like getting. I'm starting to get fucking arthritis in my hands because of it.
Let's say this. This is the first game on the Switch since I've owned it where I've played mostly using Joy-Cons, that my Joy-Cons have actually told me battery dying.
All right. I think
that's never happened to me before.
I think I'm gonna check it out. All right, let's move on real quick before we do.
Okay.
I actually have my Switch here, and I wanted to show you, Doobie, this fucking grip thing that I bought on Amazon. So it adds, as you can see, it just pops. Your Switch just kind of pops right into it, right? So it comes like this. It comes with 2 different style grips. This is the bigger one, and then there's one that doesn't have this lip. It's kind of flat on there. and you kind of just slot your system in there. It just pops right in. It holds it nice
does
and tight.
How does it handle the airflow?
Yep, there's holes right here at the top.
It doesn't get more hotter on you than usual?
Nope,
Okay.
not even a little bit. It's
And
got
it's comfortable?
nice open air, like nice open slots for everything. It is so much nicer to use when you're doing like any sort of longer handheld gaming.
Sounds like you might need to do a review on it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. And it's super cheap. I think it was like $12 on Amazon. It got to me in like a day.
Does it have a hole in the bottom for if you want to plug in a USB-C?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
You got a little hole at the. I mean, they thought of everything here. They thought of everything. The only thing it doesn't have that I wish there's another version that has it, and it comes with a more adjustable stand so you can lay it down. But this is more for like you're holding it anyway. I was gonna get a battery pack
you're
too.
holding it anyway. You're not taking the Joy-Cons off of it.
Right. But
that's
sometimes I do wish I could just kind of lay it flat and then use a Pro controller, but that's okay. If you have hand cramps like I do.
Oh yeah,
playing
like
this-
the Switch by itself. Like if I'm lying in bed, this is not a great.
No,
I
because
have nothing here.
your fucking thumbs get too cramped up. So what I did was I bought one of these. Highly recommend it. It's only like $12, and then I bought the same company sells thumb grips, and it just adds a little bit more girth to the Joy-Con thumb grips, and it makes a huge difference. So now like I basically don't have any more hand pressure. Like it's just nice and comfy. Highly recommend it. I'll do a review on it. And I also bought this thing. This was like $6. This is just so it holds your Switch like this when you want to play on a desk and you want to.
I mean, if you had your Pro controller with you and you wanted to play it like that, you could hook up the Pro controller to it and do that.
That's what I do. So exactly what I do is sometimes I'm at my desk here. I'll just sit it like this and I'll play on the Pro controller. You know, if you want a more, because I love the Pro controller.
Nice.
So I highly recommend it. It's called the Skull and Company grip. You'll see it on Amazon. It's one of the higher rated ones. Like I said, super cheap. And if you only get it if you have hand pressure, because it's not very mobile friendly. But they thought of it because it's easy to just pop on and off. It's not like a bitch to take on and off.
Yeah, I remember when I don't know if the same company made them, but I remember when they did make those for like the 3DS or the DS as well. And then you had the better grips. Because that's another system that if I sit there for too long and I'm lying in bed, like I am prone to just falling asleep and dropping onto my face anyway.
Yeah.
But that's partly because I don't have that hand pressure. So my hands get lazy and I get tired.
Yeah, and you got bigger hands too, so it's like, I mean, I can only imagine. This really does help. And here you can see it on the screen. I have it up here. It comes in a bunch of different colors. I have the gray one, but you can get like the neon red and orange or red and blue.
What they say about guys with big hands.
Big gloves.
Big grips. Big grips.
Big old grips.
Big old grips.
Yeah, so this one here, this is $50, but this comes with the stupid case. You don't need that. Just get the one with the set.
Yeah, I mean, I got that Zelda case from when the Zelda game came out, like when Breath of the Wild came out. That Zelda case has done me good.
Yeah. Actually, I don't see it here on Amazon with just the grip case. Let me see if I can find one. Just maybe it's sold out. I really don't see it here.
I haven't even heard of them. So I mean, nobody's doing reviews of them. So maybe we got to corner that market.
I'm definitely gonna do a review on it. A quick one. You don't need. It looks like it's sold out. To be honest, I only see them now with the case. I don't know. I'll double check it. But yeah, I recommend it. All right, let's move on to news. So yeah, first one. Square Enix issues a second apology as Octopath Traveler restock sells out in 3 hours.
3 hours of physical media. They underestimated how popular the physical purchase was going to be in Japan. And in the U.S. at some part, I believe that Amazon was sold out when the game actually, like when they announced it and they took pre-orders, they actually sold out of physical pre-orders.
Good on them.
There's definitely the special edition. A lot of people wanted that special edition.
Nope. Make 100 copies. Make it actually special. Call it done.
That's what I'm saying, man. I got my special edition.
You guys are all sick in the head.
But yeah,
no,
man.
I'm saying, hey, make 100 physical copies and that's it, and call it done, and force everyone to actually download it.
But yeah, the Square Enix pretty much came out and said, "We're sorry that there's no physical, but you can buy digital. Buy digital."
I hope every single one of you guys who have bought a physical copy loses your fucking save.
Oh man.
and then you're gonna be wishing you bought digital. But yeah, I'm not. I'm not surprised. They're probably like, who the fuck buys hard copies?
We're heading to that part. Like, I know we're heading to it. I know we're heading to the death of physical medium. And I know when they do special editions, it's going to be special edition, cool physical stuff, and then a download code.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to come down to.
I don't mind that. I don't mind it either way, but.
And then a piece of paper.
Yeah.
The last thing I bought that could even use physical medium was over 8 years ago. I hope you realize that.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
I just accept it already.
I rather them lower the price of the game than have to account for that extra production cost.
I mean, that's part of the reason why those indie games, if you want them physically on the Switch, they cost $10 more.
Yeah.
Because of the physical medium of cartridge. Because even though cartridge technology is definitely far more advanced now than it was when Nintendo was doing it with the N64, we're still not at the point where it's cost efficient to buy a ton of 32 or 64 gig cartridges. And that's why a lot of these game companies who are making ports, they're like, okay, here, but you got to also download another portion digitally anyway. I think Mega Man Legacy Collection, the X Collection,
DOOBIE, would you be happy if a game basically was just a cartridge, but that just had the code on it? And you actually had to,
fucking God.
And you actually it was just a physical key that you would put in your game.
So essentially it's a PlayStation disc, was what you're saying.
And you had to download.
That's what a PlayStation disc essentially is.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking key.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all a disc is, because you still have to download the like.
Would you still buy physical if that was the case?
Man, that's kind of the reason why I like cartridges, because you don't have to wait for a 60 gig install time.
Yeah, that's the only real pro to it.
And I do like to have the opportunity to borrow. Like, if you want to rent a game, it's got to be physical. You have to rent it physically. You can't rent it digitally. And even if you could rent it digitally, there's too much bullshit involved with that. That's the whole PS Now streaming service.
That's coming too. Pretty soon rentals are going to be all digital.
It's already happening, dude.
Just buy as much as you can,
dude.
Netflix
for games.
Buy as much as you can while you can.
Nintendo's going to do it. I'm going to be mad because I would like to own my shit.
Yeah. Well, all right. What would be the best in between? I guess, like, if you could go to a GameStop or Amazon or whatever, and they sent you just like a little booklet and like there was nothing in it except for like a booklet, some artwork, maybe like a behind the scenes thing, and then just a key. Would that still be enough for you to want to buy that? Or do you just want the actual game on the
I prefer to have that's one of the reasons why I do like buying physically for the Switch, is I do like having that physical. I know that I can put this in and play.
So if that went away,
that's why PlayStation does bother. Like, that's why PlayStation, like, the only real perk of physical buying for PlayStation, like I said, it's a key.
Right.
You still have to download that huge download size, even if you're putting a disc in, because the technology for reading and writing off of discs is so much slower than cartridge now.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You have to download it to the consoles, like, until the memory, like, onto the hard drive. So I know we're heading to that future where it's going to be, do you want physical medium? You're not going to be able to get it. But if you want special editions, it's essentially going to be
just a key.
Like Persona 5 came with, a plush and the Japanese messenger bag and all that stuff. You'll still get that, but then you're going to get just a piece of paper with a code.
And would you still buy that version?
I would buy it for the because I like to have my special editions and my collector stuff.
So you would?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah. So I mean, when
I'm just wondering if even the game not even being in it.
Yeah, it's why GameStop's going out of business.
Yeah, there's no point for them.
There's no point, because even if you wanted it physically, you could get it through Amazon.
I mean, if they were smart, they would make a deal with Amazon. If they were smart.
Yeah, right? Man, you don't know, man. Jeff Bezos might just straight up buy GameStop at this point.
Or he wouldn't even buy them. He would just muscle them out.
Muscle them out, just open up Amazon Gaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Stores
if I'm GameStop, I would be begging Jeff Bezos to do something.
Can you imagine
GameStop branded.
Amazon Gaming, brick and mortar stores, and you go in and you just have your Prime? Hey, there's your GameStop Pro membership, Prime.
Yeah. Oh no, it's coming, dude. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, they're already working on that.
Dude, look at it. Your corner, your neighborhood GameStop's gonna have Amazon Gaming on it, and in 5 years.
Yeah. Or it's just gonna be every store in the world is just
Or it's
Amazon.
gonna be like my Blockbuster that's now the Subway.
No, the Subway's gonna be owned by Amazon too, though.
And all the vape shops are gonna be a freaking dispenser.
Fast tech. No, they're all gonna be
They're all
fast
gonna
tech.
be they're all gonna be weed dispensaries.
All right, moving on. 1 in 2 Japanese Switch owners have a copy of Splatoon 2.
50% attach rate. That's high.
Dude, I've stopped playing it because I've been playing Mario Tennis, but I mean, I still want to play Splatoon 2, man. It's so
I
fun.
just find it really interesting that like 1 in 2 owners, like, and you
It's
already
so
realized
fun.
that it's
I'm not
how many-
surprised.
you look at just the sales alone. That's what 2 million copies. Of
2.5
Splatoon in Japan. 2.5. That's a ton of that's a lot of sales
Yeah.
So
for a new.
what happens
What
when
is
you
a
have
newer
10
IP?
games?
What are you saying?
I'm saying that's what happens when you have 10 games. Everyone actually owns them.
No, there's some other
mean-
Switch games I'm not buying, dude. Splatoon is a good one.
Let's say Splatoon was like Arm's wishes. It had the success that Splatoon did.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. And Splatoon's great. It's just it is one of those things where it's like I would not be surprised if Mario, Zelda, Splatoon, Smash
Or on all
yeah,
Switches.
if all of those if you have a Switch, you own those games because
Mario Kart.
that's the only reason why you bought the Switch.
Yeah.
Hey man, like I said, it may not have the greatest of third-party support, but unlike the Wii U, its first-party games are totally worth buying.
So far.
Like, the Wii U.
No, I'm
Let's be honest.
actually hyped because third-party support's actually slowly coming
Yeah.
based off the.
I mean, this is what happens when you have a console that completely wiped away any third-party support.
Yeah, now you're gonna get Wolfenstein and
Yeah,
like
it's-
other Bethesda stuff and things like that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that was one of the things I noticed the most out of E3 was like every show basically, except for like Sony and Microsoft, obviously, but almost every show at least mentioned like, and it's coming to Switch at least once or twice.
I
Yeah.
think part of that is the annoying, and I'm gonna say it, even as a Nintendo like fan, the fan base can be kind of pushy and annoying when it comes to releases of games, because if they don't specifically mention Switch, and you go on Twitter and you just see 500 tweets that just say, when's Switch version, when's Switch coming, when's Switch one, when's Switch one, and you're just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but I think it's
You gotta demand it if you want it.
I don't think it's just Nintendo fans though, because I wouldn't really classify myself as a Nintendo fan. I still want like a lot of. There's so many games that just work so good on Switch. You know, it's just the portability of it is just awesome.
I will say shout outs to Panic Button, because they have made a name for themselves as being very good at porting to the Switch.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who ported Doom. And I mean, it may not run the greatest, but to even get it to run on the Switch is really kind of jaw dropping.
Yeah.
You know, they got Wolfenstein 2 on there. Like, if you want something ported to the Switch, go see the guys at Panic Button, because they're good at what they do.
Well, on the flip side, another piece of news: U.S. trader rubs salt into Nintendo's share drop wounds with $400 million bet against the company.
So I don't know if you guys,
Who's the
like,
trader? Do we know? Let me see.
It's in the article. But essentially what it is, and I don't know how many of our viewers understand like what a short bet is, but essentially they're putting down money, $400 million, saying we're betting on Nintendo's stock falling even more than it has, which
it's
has
called a
in
put.
turn made the stock fall even more than it has, because it shows a lack of trust in the stock.
Gabriel Plotkin, head of New York hedge fund Melvin Capital.
Yep.
He's betting
So-
against them.
So the E3 wasn't very strong, and they're kind of in a bit of a second year lull where like the games are coming for this year, but they're not coming till Christmas. Like,
Yeah, it's
you're
not a good year.
Smash until Christmas, and
This-
that's the big one. And
Yeah.
Pokemon.
This hasn't been a very good year for the Switch.
No, it's been a very lackluster first half. It's nowhere near as bad as the Wii U was, where there was just spans of not like there was just so much waiting. At least now we have the indie support and some pretty solid like third party where I like it may be niche as all hell, but like Octopath did come to a pretty solid summer release.
Yeah.
But I mean that's not a system seller. That's not a game that stock market like that stockholders are looking at and going, yeah, raise the price on stocks because of Octopath. No, they want Smash and Pokemon are going to be what raises the stock.
Yeah, when Smash comes out, you'll see Nintendo start to raise a little bit, and then once Christmas comes around, they'll start to boom a little bit.
I'm almost tempted to buy stock in Nintendo while it's low.
I don't know, man. I mean, if this company is betting against them $400 million, it's a pretty strong bet.
That's a strong bet.
That's a pretty strong bet.
It's a bet.
And so. I mean, when you're you know, a New York hedge fund, 99% of them run on, you know, insider trading and rumors anyway. So maybe they know something that we don't know. Maybe there's, like I'm telling you, there's a lot of hardware issues that are going to start popping up on the Switch, and that'll definitely kill your stock.
That could.
You know, those batteries start swelling, or the batteries don't charge anymore.
The fact that the cloud saving
gate and shit like that.
Cloud saving isn't coming into online services, and it's locked behind the online service.
Right, and we don't even know the quality of the online service. If the online service fails, that's another reason that stock will just fall. You know?
Is it all doom and gloom for Nintendo? I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't look great. Not really.
No.
But I don't think they're at a point where people should be freaking out going, oh, great, Nintendo is going to go under, because they're not. Mm-hmm. Should they still have enough money from the Wii era to have another failure of a console and still survive?
Yeah, it looks like people thought they were going to go under then, and the fact that they haven't yet, they're not going to.
They have so much money.
They survived releasing the Wii U. They're not going under the Switch.
And they've already outsold the Wii U in less than I think it was in 1.5 years, they sold more Switches than they sold Wii U's worldwide. And they still have the Chinese market they're trying to get into, which is a huge market.
Yeah. And it looks like right here, it's like the Switch it looks like maybe this Nintendo stock might have been overvalued when the Switch was released, and now it might just be stabilizing.
Which probably it is, because
that's what it looks like to me.
The stock was very low when Wii U happened, and then the huge boom of the initial Switch launch really skyrocketed that stock price, and now it's coming down to where it most likely should be.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
But it does look like a fall because of that, which would in turn be, people freak out.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it could be valued correctly if this online comes out and it's a hit, and Smash comes out and it's a hit, and then the holiday releases, then their stock could be
stocks come and they rise and fall all the time. Come Smash, it could soar for all we know, because Smash could. Who knows what their Christmas sales, their lineup's going to look like in terms of sales.
Yeah.
It's
interesting though. You don't want to see that though, because
I will say brand recognition is huge right now, because I was in the Uber with a guy who I was talking to the driver, and he was not a gamer at all. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I like Nintendo. He's like, yo, the Switch though. And this is a guy who doesn't I was talking to him. He hadn't played games since the Genesis, but he knew the Switch. Sure. It's just like the Wii again. People knew the Wii. They didn't know gaming. They knew the Wii.
Yeah. So and Nintendo's got old money. And I don't think you ever have to worry about Nintendo going bankrupt or anything.
No, but not for a while at least.
Like I said, a lot of those hedge funds run on insider trading, so hopefully it's something that is just speculative and not something they know that they're trying to get ahead of. Like with Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know how it works with international companies, because Nintendo is known for not like headquarters in Japan doesn't share everything with NOA, with Nintendo of America. So some stuff is kept hidden from NOA at Japanese headquarters. So I don't know what the insider trading looks like with that.
I mean, who knows, man? I don't know either. Who knows? It could just be a rumor. You know what I mean? It could be a rumor that's circulating, or someone could have paid someone. They could have headhunters out there. But a $400 million bet is nothing to scoff at. That's almost $500 million. So they're they're almost completely certain that their stock is overvalued. So who knows? Maybe it's just speculative. But anyways, moving on. Developer behind Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain lose court case against former employee reporting having a toxic workplace culture. Quantic Dream is the studio. And then we have this what is it called? French tweet here that I can't quite read. I have to open it up and translate it. Let's see what he says. Quantic Dream has just lost an industrial court case against one of the employees at the heart of the case of the photo montages of the beginning of the year. The act of breaking contract of employment has been reclassified as dismissal without a real and serious cause. The studio can appeal. Okay.
Yeah. So what it looks like is it turns out that their corporate, their whole culture, besides being overworked, is a lot of inappropriate like behavior. I mean, today's like,
The Uber defense.
and like our today's society with the whole Me Too movement, all this stuff, like racist and sexist jokes in the workplace don't fly.
No, they definitely do not. And
Yeah.
gaming, I guess the gaming industry is filled with a bunch of men, and there's a lot of testosterone floating around. So it can be, I can see it getting caught up in that. And this is a French company, it looks like. So maybe it's a little bit more racy over there. I don't know, but that's what happens,
More
man.
French.
Yeah, more hairy. It's a little hairy over there. I don't know. That's not nothing you want to see, but not very surprised.
No,
Quantic
especially,
Dream though, it's kind of interesting. That company.
David Cage is like
Like, how does nothing come out about Rockstar like that? You know what I mean? Like
I mean-
Quantic Dream, like Detroit Become Human. That's so weird.
yeah, games that are like pushing boundaries of woke and what it means to be like human.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they're all there. But hey, you look at a gaming studio that releases games like Grand Theft Auto where you beat hookers.
Right.
Turns out that their staff is fine, probably because they make and play Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. The psychology of it. They get their release.
Well,
Alright.
so yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of anything coming out of Take-Two, so they also might like have shit on lock too.
I mean, I who
Like,
knows,
like,
but
really like leaks from that like
Nothing.
entire platform.
yeah, nothing.
You never get anything out of that entire
I mean, Red Dead is literally about to come out, and all we saw were just the trailers that they released. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Very interesting.
Between them and CD Projekt Red, like
Well, I'm pretty convinced that CD Projekt Red has a base on the moon. There's no way like this amount of hype and there's nothing. They fucking
They're
had
good.
they had
They're
a
good.
secret show at E3, yet
Yeah,
no
well, no.
leaks.
Yeah, that too, but also did you see any of the interviews afterwards where they were just like, yeah, we basically did a secret show because the game's so broken we could show you like 20 seconds of it
Yeah.
because like that's how far out we are. We're not in alpha. We have like this we can show you.
Yeah, they showed yeah. I don't blame them. They know what they're doing though. They don't want to they want that hype train moving. So
Yeah.
we got more details emerging on Cyberpunk
Oh.
2077.
Speaking of what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
that's why I organized the news like this today.
Continuing its frame-by-frame series analyzing Cyberpunk 2077's E3 trailer, CD Projekt Red recently introduced the game's Trauma Team, a group of paramedics that go to great lengths to treat those who are wealthy enough to afford a Trauma Team medical plan. Here's how the studio describes them. The Trauma Team is composed of paramedics expertly trained in combat who will go to any length to deliver their clients from harm. Those wealthy enough to afford a Trauma Team medical plan receive a card and biochip implant. When the chip recognizes a medical problem in a client's system, it immediately informs the Trauma Team who rush to the scene to stabilize and extract the patient. Rain or shine, war zone, or picnic. Excuse me.
I will say that like anything cyberpunk, and there was another article that was in here, but I didn't link it, but I'll bring it up. Like any cyberpunk is inherently going to be political, and this is almost feels like a
Oh, that was
like a
probably the
social
other
commentary on Medicare, like on
Yeah.
the medical field right
No,
now.
that was one of their other interviews they just did like the last couple of days. Was like, no, it's going to be political.
Good.
I mean, you can't have cyberpunk without it being political. That's one of the reasons why cyberpunk is a genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much telling of the political sphere.
Like the dystopian future of a extreme
Yeah.
political
Well, yeah,
side.
I think from what I've been
Yeah,
able
but it's
to
a
tell,
reflection of
yeah,
where we're going.
a lot of it's based off of the uber rich who can afford a trauma team to treat them in the war zone that the war zone's created by the lower class.
Yeah.
Because I think if you just walk outside, this world's gonna probably suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking dope, dude.
This game, I am. Here's weekly Doobie needs to play Witcher 3. I am super hyped on this game.
Doobie, by the way, I'm writing a piece right now for the website of my full review of The Witcher 3 and why it's the greatest game ever made. And I've maybe written about 4 pages so far, and I've only covered graphics and sound.
And how many times have you mentioned, I don't know why Doobie hasn't played this thing yet?
Not yet, but I'm gonna dedicate an entire section to it.
God damn it.
But I have a theory as to why you haven't played it. It's a little bit deeper than you just haven't gotten around to it.
He doesn't want Zelda to be ruined.
I think it's just too epic.
He'll play this game and realize that Zelda is just overrated.
No, it's not even Zelda, because they're different. They're different enough games and RPG genres by far.
Yeah, they are.
But I totally see that why I'm sometimes get annoyed that you're like, is there going to be an Elder Scrolls? Is there going to be an Elder Scrolls? And it's just like, just play The Witcher.
Yeah.
Fuck Skyrim. Witcher 3 needs to be ported to everything. When is Witcher 3 on the Switch? Make it happen. I'll play it.
Never.
You can't. It'll explode.
I'm gonna say that never. Yeah, like
I heard it's. I've always heard it's just this gigantic fucking game.
Yeah. It's partially that, but it's like we were even talking about this last week, and I told someone who were like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll get a console for like Cyberpunk," and I'm just like, "No, it's CD Projekt Red. Just build a computer."
Yeah.
Like, go watch videos of like, even on like a PS4 Pro. Go watch, like, you can find a video of like, here's The Witcher 3 on PS4 Pro. Here's actually on a computer that runs it.
And here's the thing with Cyberpunk:
different games.
I'm probably gonna need to
Like,
rebuild
really
a computer specifically for Cyberpunk.
You're gonna want to.
Yeah,
because this, I'm already wondering what the specs are gonna look like when they release them, and I have a feeling minimum 1070, 1080.
Well, think about it like this, because I just
like 3 or 4 years out from this game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And so think about it like this.
1070, 1080.
I just covered the graphics, like the presentation of The Witcher 3 in this review, and it's still today being used as a benchmark for modern day hardware, which hasn't yet reached the full potential of The Witcher 3 full graphic capabilities. Like, it just scales so hardcore. So just imagine the next generation of that. It's going to be massive. They're going to have all the newest technology in it.
It's the current day Crisis.
Yeah, except optimized. It's optimized, but it's just so strong that you still need a lot to power it, you know?
Fucking Crisis.
All right, moving on. Goldman Sachs thinks esports will reach NFL levels, and I completely agree. And this is why I agree. I don't really think we need to even read this article, because I think we all agree at this. But I was watching the X Games, and do you guys remember how big the X Games were back in the day, like when Tony Hawk and Bob Burnquist were skating, and Matt Hoffman and Dave Mirra were on
I was going to say Dave Mirra.
Dude, it was like the height of extreme sports. Everyone wanted to skate, rollerblade, BMX. Everyone wanted to do something in extreme sports. Dude, the X Games is now 60,000 member channel on YouTube with maybe 1,000 people watching actual X Games live. No one's in the stands. Like, it's dead. And it's because the youth don't want to skateboard. They don't want to bike. They don't want to do any of that. They want to be fucking ninja. You know what I mean? They want to play Fortnite professionally. They want to play Overwatch professionally.
League.
It's just a different time, and it's more accessible. Everyone has a game system, and anyone can get started. You're not
ESPN
you're not breaking any bones. You know what I mean?
ESPN has their own esport thing. There's the really dumb reality show that's on TV that's like a house with all these Street Fighter players. Really? And they all play, and it's like it's like a competition where they play Street Fighter. So, and they're like, it's like a reality show meets esports, and that's a thing that's on TV.
That's I'm saying, dude. I believe Goldman Sachs.
You see all of these a lot of NBA, former NBA, current NBA, former MLB, and current MLB players investing in esports. Ryan Howard invested a lot of money into Philadelphia esports.
Yeah. The thing I wonder, though, is, the NFL does have, it is the NFL, right? And I don't see esports has anything like the NFL.
When you start to see, huge ad sponsors, it really comes down to sponsorship, too.
Well, who would be the leader? Like, who would make all of this? Like,
When you start seeing Papa John's sponsor some teams and start having, the Papa John's Invitational.
Well, who would be the one to basically do the Super Bowl of the esports? Is there someone out there where the whole community would agree, okay, this is the Super Bowl of esports? That's why I think they need to get started on that.
What's like League's big main thing?
Worlds, and it's trash.
Yeah, but League is probably the most. What is League still the most watched, or I know CS:GO's up there.
CS:GO was for a while, and I think CS might still be, but it's harder now. Honestly, nowadays some of the most watched is like PUBG, Fortnite tournaments, and they're garbage.
Yeah.
Like, they're utter garbage.
I haven't seen one. Actually, I watched one PUBG tournament.
What was viewership for Overwatch League finals that were last week?
I don't know.
I don't even know what the viewership was. I know that it was. I know Philadelphia was in the finals.
And there's no Cloud9 one, so I'm happy.
Nick had like a big watch party for it.
Get wrecked.
It looks like there was
Get wrecked, Philly.
Around-
Sucks, dude. It's all about Cloud9.
Yeah, Philly got bodied in that one.
Even though they're London or some stupid crap.
Fusion made it to the finals, but they got bodied in it.
It says there was 350,000 viewers on Twitch. You better bet that 400,000 was easily within reach if this went the distance, maybe even 500,000. That's what this Twitter said.
That's okay.
Fish sticks.
That's okay. That's like normal League numbers, and like League's still not even that great. Like CS, if you want like huge numbers, CS and TI, like Dota 2 TI have always been by far the biggest tournaments.
And what's
And these are tournaments, so you got to think the NFL's netting a few million on just regular games, and then the playoffs, and then they, exponentially increase that, and then of course the Super Bowl, which brings in a bunch of viewers as well. And I think esports can get up there, but they need to kind of unify it so it's easier for people to follow along their favorite players and shit,
I wonder if any of this has to do with the fact that it's not, I want to say less esports reaching NFL, but NFL falling a little bit, meeting esports.
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's
NFL's popularity is
Counter-Strike's already hit numbers very close to the NBA finals.
Yeah,
like if you go outside of the NFL,
and I guarantee you they're all beating out the NHL completely. I love hockey, but hockey is not the most popular sport in America. I'll tell you that.
No, and everyone's wrong, but
someone was just agreeing with you, or I heard someone yelling.
I don't know.
Gotta watch hockey.
Basically,
God, I love them Red Wings.
So what is this video that you sent me?
Yeah.
Is this Witcher 3 versus PS4?
Yeah.
Oh, PS4 Pro? Nah.
You're wrong if you don't like hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it still looks good on PS4 Pro, though, dude.
Why?
It does look pretty good on PS4 Pro.
Hockey is I don't know if I can say it's my second favorite sport. I really got into the NBA last year.
Nah,
You're wrong.
It's all about tennis, and I've been watching golf.
I don't miss a Flyers game. I'll tell you that.
That's good. All right, let's move on. Last two stories. Discord issues warnings to partner servers that have not safe for work channels. Wait, what? Oh, Discord strikes server for offensive, not safe for work content, raising concerns. Wait, what?
But
that would be for the partnered. So
there's a different, and this is bringing some issues with people, because if you're not partnered, anybody can have NSFW channels. They're marked not safe for work. They're marked, but they're issuing warnings to partnered servers that have it, telling them pretty much we would like you not to.
Okay.
I don't really understand why. I don't know. I mean, maybe it has to do with what was the thing with
have you seen some of the partnered Twitch streamers chats? I can tell you why.
It says it's a lot to do with like LGBT stuff.
Oh, it's stuff like that, but it's worse. I mean, if you think Twitch chat's bad, take all of those people and then throw them into Discord.
Is it because they're partnered? They reflect Discord, and thus
partnered, they're literally paying you to use Discord.
Yeah, so
you
need to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Because what's the whole thing that passed where like websites are held accountable for what the comments say and all that crap?
Yeah. No, I can see that. That
and
makes
that can
sense.
play into it, but I think it's more just that if your partner Discord is basically
I
paying
mean,
you to use their service, so you're advertising their service, so they're trying to like, hey, let's not have racist stuff on our stream,
Discord started
you know.
as like what, a Reddit, like wasn't like a Reddit like thing originally, and it was for some kind of gaming, and then like all these other people started using it as just a messaging service. And I mean, that ranges from anyone, the simple, group of friends, to hate groups.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Any
man.
other messaging forum.
You gotta keep an eye on that stuff when you bring any sort of money into it. Anytime there's business and money involved, you have to make sure there's no one
This is
screaming the N word 100,000 times.
exactly.
a few
This is just for partnered. This is just for the partnered stuff, and like to me that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because their partnered stuff is, for better or worse, it is an advertisement.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it is how some people get into Discord, because like,
It's a sponsorship.
they're Twitch streamers using this Discord server. You can go chat with people there. Like, that's the advertisement for Discord basically.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be like, hey, this is what we're paying ad money for.
It's just now because it's like gaming related. Everyone's like, you're trying to limit free speech. And we'll talk about that next.
And
I mean,
next.
free speech versus companies.
Exactly. Like, there's
carry over to that.
I'm all for free speech, but you're using a product. That's a different.
Look at Alex Jones getting kicked off Facebook.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow.
Hey man, Facebook's a motherfucking business.
Moving on, Marty Sliva. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's like a reviewer for IGN, and he's in like a bunch of their shows on YouTube. He's all over the IGN thing. Well, about a month or two ago, I think 2 months ago, he basically just disappeared, and he was on their 2 or 3 podcasts, like Nintendo Video Chat, Beyond, which is their PlayStation 1, and then Unlocked, which is their Xbox One. He was on IGN all the time. He did the E3 stuff, and then all of a sudden he was just gone. And everyone on like the IGN subreddit were like bugging out, like, where the fuck is Marty, blah, blah, blah. And then finally he released the statement on the 24th saying, hey friends, after 7 wonderful years, I decided to move on from IGN to focus on some personal projects. The entire crew there is nothing short of incredible, and I'm stoked to watch them continue to do amazing things day in and day out. And what was interesting about this was Alana Pierce, which was one of their bigger reviewers over at IGN, when she left, she got like this big, goodbye from the entire staff, and they had videos, and it was just like a formal parting of her. But when he left, it was very, very secretive. And then you look deeper into it, and this was interesting. This was like some juicy gossip in here. But supposedly a lot of his like quote unquote best friends all unfollowed him on Twitter and like blocked him from Facebook, and seems to be some weird stuff going down. And then when this happened, there was a couple other journalists from other gaming outlets like US Gamer, and there was another one that was a former IGN employee, basically hinting at like sexual harassment things going on, but no one really got the full story. And it's been really weird, because he was one of the guys that a lot of people followed for where a lot of people followed for a lot of that news. Like, he was like one of their better reviewers, so he had a lot of fans behind him. He's got a pretty big following on Twitter as well. And the fact that they kind of pushed him off in this really interesting way was pretty interesting. But we still don't know too much. Alana Pierce they had their own like side podcast together, and then essentially she kicked him off and didn't say anything about it, and people were wondering what happened there as well. And there was a lot of weird rumors going on around, but I don't know. I figured I'd bring it up because it was an interesting story, and hopefully we learn more about the situation. It's got some juicy drama in there, but this is all we know so far. He's been kicked out essentially with there's a lot of weird things pointing to sexual harassment or pointing to some sort of weird, just like one single incident. But I don't know. We'll keep you updated on that, because I like drama, All right. That's it. That's it for the gaming show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to catch you guys tomorrow for the tech podcast. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Mavic Pro getting some interchangeable lenses. Finally, first consumer drone with interchangeable lenses. Corning Gorilla Glass 5. Sony's smartphone technology, as well as some. We're gonna talk about Alex Jones tomorrow as well, which is gonna be fun. So we'll see you guys later. Peace. Hit up our website, nolife.digital.